Hello everyone, we are Team 1. We are about to demo A05 Selenium tests for you. Since you have already seen the project structure and how things are organized, let me just run the Selenium tests. So we are testing the parking user first. There's two parts to the registration. The first where he enters his username password, and the second part is where he creates his profile. We're testing the first part right now. So we just gave a blank username, validated that field. After the blank username, we will enter a bad password. It said that the password should contain at least one uppercase character. And we have two more tests for the password. This one says that it should have at least one number. And in the end, there's a validation that the passwords do not match. Now, the way the tests are organized is that we will go through the unhappy or the bad path first before going to the happy scenario. So since we are done with the first part of registration, we are moving on to creating the user's profile. So we have the user details page. So the first test, we were checking if there was a first name which was entered. And we are checking if the first name, like the first name can only contain alphabets. There's no validation for the middle name, so we move to the last name. Now we are moving to the date of birth. Since we are entering a date of birth which was in the future, it says that the date of birth can't be after this current date. Moving on to the email address, we have some validations in there that it should contain an @ sign. And we have a couple of validations for the phone number as well. It says that it's mandatory. This time we entered a phone number which was just 3 digits, so it complains. We now move to the driver's license. Once again, we entered a very short driver's license, so we have a validation error over there. Now we are moving to the registration number. So the last one was for the UTA ID. It says that the UTA ID should be at least 10 digits. We have one more failed case for the parking user. Now this one was that UTA ID must start with 100. Now we are moving on to the login page. We will try to register the user successfully this time, and we will enter a bad username for him. So it said that the login has failed. Now for the same user, since we start all the tests from the beginning, we are registering him again, and this time we will enter a bad password for him, and it says the login failed again. Now this time we move on to the happy scenario for the parking user. So once again we'll try to register him successfully and then successfully log him in. After he's logged in, he can now request a reservation. He has selected Nederman. He chose a couple of options. He did the payment, and you can see the reservation was successful. We are doing another reservation over here, this time with different parameters. So you can see the path, happy path ran successfully. So we are moving to the admin now. Now we will repeat the first part of registration once again for the admin. So after the username error, we went to the three test cases that we have for the password. The password should contain one uppercase, it should have digits, and the password should match. These are the three tests that we will run for the admin. Now we are done with the first part of the registration page, so we are moving to creating the profile of the admin. So we will have validations over here for the first name, for the last name, for his date of birth, and so on. The first name should contain only alphabets. Last name should contain only alphabets. This time it says a bunch of fields are mandatory. Now since we are reading these attributes from CSV files, that's why the window has to close and then reopen once again. When the window closes, you can see in Eclipse that the parameters are being read from a CSV file, and we have the test case numbers over there. We are validating the admin's email address right now. After email address, we will now move to the phone number. Now we have more than one test over here for one field. We did that to maximize the coverage on our controllers, because with just one field, most of the part of our controllers was not being hit, so we just decided that it's a good idea to add a bunch of extra validations. We are moving to the last bad path for the admin. We validated his UTA ID. There's one more validation for the UTA ID. Now we'll try to test the login for the admin, which is part C of our test. So we will successfully register the admin first, and then we'll try to log him in with a bad username. Now this time we will try to log the same admin in with a bad password. Now the error message for login is the same, that is the username or the password is incorrect. We have done this because we don't want the users to guess if the username exists or the password exists or not. We are moving to the happy path of the admin now. We will register him once again. These are all the happy paths. First part of registration, the second part of registration. We will log him in successfully. Now he's going to search for a user. He just selected a couple of users. He selected them from the drop down and he got the details for those users. He selected a user by his he actually revoked a user and now he unrevokes someone. We're once again trying to change a role of a user. Now the happy path for the admin is done, so we are moving to the parking manager right now. So we will repeat the registration process once again for the parking manager. Once again we have a bad username and then the 3 test cases that we have for the password. So one change that happens is that this time it selects a parking manager when it's trying to register. The rest are just the same. Then we are moving to the profile creation of the manager, which is the test B. We give everything empty, which shows all the errors that we have on the form. After that we will insert bad values one by one. So we gave the username 123 first name. It says that it should contain only alphabets. Again, we don't have any validations for the middle name, so we move to the last name 123 again, and it's going to say the same, that it should contain only alphabets. There's no validation for the gender, which is a drop down, so we move directly to the date of birth. Date of birth can't be after today's date. Email address needs to have an @. These are the same tests that we ran before, so we're not explaining them again, but you can see them in action. Phone number should be at least 10 digits. We're almost at the end of creating the profile for the admin. We have this validation for the driving license number. The number we entered was too short. Now we are going to the registration. So we could not see the message because you have to like actually scroll it. Yeah. So this is the last case for the profile creation of the parking manager. The last failed path. So we entered a path that started with 101, so it said it should start with 100. Now we will try to log the parking manager in by successfully registering him. So we're actually trying to fail his username first. We will then enter a bad password for him. We're just entering random in there. Now we will actually run the happy path. Now once the manager logs in, on the right side, on the top right side, you can see that it shows his name that he has logged in and what kind of user he is. We are trying to register him successfully. We will log him in. Now you can see his name. You can now search the user. He got the results. He's gonna set no show on one of the users reservations, and we have completed the happy path for the for all the cases. And that's it. Thank you.